The physicist Richard Feynman famously warned that the first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. Every day, we wade through a flood of online discourse, political debates, and targeted advertising. We often get the creeping sensation that an argument is flawed, but we completely lack the vocabulary to articulate exactly where it breaks. It's tempting to think of formal logic as a machine that pumps out absolute, pristine truths. But a more accurate picture is that logic is really just a yardstick. It slides across existing chains of thought, testing them for structural integrity to find the weak, flickering links. To survive the manipulation of others and our own internal biases, we have to catalog the predictable ways reasoning fails. We need a taxonomy of nonsense. This map charts our first major category of structural failure: red herrings. These errors redirect the discussion away from the original proposition. Take the argument from consequences. Here, an arguer uses the fear of an unfavorable outcome as proof that the original premise is false. This illustration shows a toucan evaluating portraits of itself, a perfect visual for the straw man fallacy. Instead of addressing the actual argument, an opponent paints a ludicrous, lifeless caricature of the idea, making it a much easier target to attack. Similarly, guilt by association and the genetic fallacy dodge the actual claim by attacking its origin. If a socially demonized group shares a belief, or if an idea originated in a different era, the argument is discarded regardless of its merit. None of these tactics address the evidence. They are cognitive exploits that use emotional misdirection to shift the burden of proof. The second major point of failure happens in our causal reasoning, where our brains draw rigid lines between dots that do not actually connect. In this video, a single drop of water hits a snowbank and triggers a massive avalanche. This is exactly how the slippery slope fallacy works. It forces the audience to accept that one small initial step will inevitably cascade into a terrifying extreme, completely ignoring the lack of any causal links in between. We also fall for the false dilemma. This is an artificial scenario presenting only two possible categories, assuming everything must fit into one or the other, entirely erasing any neutral ground. The physicist Ernest Rutherford illustrated this perfectly with a story about a man who bought a silent parrot. When the buyer complained, the pet store owner replied, "You wanted a parrot that talks. I gave you the parrot that thinks." The trap is assuming the bird must be either silent and brilliant or talkative and foolish. These errors bypass logic by hijacking our natural pattern recognition software. They trick us into seeing strict, unyielding connections where none exist. This side of the map reveals the final category: language traps and missing data, where arguments exploit ambiguity. Tracing the branches to equivocation and no true Scotsman, arguers protect weak claims by redefining words mid-sentence or moving the goalposts to never admit defeat. Here, an illustration shows a rabbit pointing to a strange beam of light, concluding it must be visiting aliens. This is the appeal to ignorance. It falsely assumes that an absence of evidence disproving a claim somehow acts as evidence that the claim is true. Even more common is the hasty generalization, where massive, sweeping conclusions are drawn from a sample size that is statistically far too small or hyperspecific. When evaluating the software for the Ariane 5 rocket, engineers assumed that control data from the older model would carry over flawlessly to the new one. That assumption bypassed proper testing scenarios, causing the massive rocket to explode during its first test flight. The elasticity of a single word or the absence of a single data point can turn even brilliant minds into the architects of their own deception. Zooming out, the complete taxonomy gives us a unified toolkit to navigate the noise. Memorizing these labels does not magically generate objective truth. Calling out a logical fallacy does not guarantee that your own position is right. The real value is internal. Formalizing your reasoning creates a profound clarity of expression and forces you to view your own thought processes with improved objectivity. Externally, it serves as a protective yardstick. When you can spot an opponent relying on red herrings or causal traps, you know exactly when a debate has become futile, giving you the confidence to simply walk away. Learning how arguments break is the ultimate defense against fooling yourself. It is the absolute baseline requirement for maintaining a civil society.